auburn red hair down to about there and a great big bushy flaming red beard, and I call it my wild Irish poet era. Kind of similar to the way those eras that, if you ever watched that movie Little Big Man, you know, the eras that he went through. Do you remember one easy day when the diamond-crusted sea saw our eyes moving and said, the eyes are in love? And the blossomed apple tree saw our hands locked and said, the hands are in love. And the whipped cream clouds saw our lips kissing and said, the lips are in love. But one heart did not love. I can remember, though you have forgotten. And how strange it seems that I should talk to you before this stranger at your side in this foreign language of strangers. Kind of works in progress. This one is called Siren Song. Cacophony of shrieking, like beatnik bohemian sax players and LSD, squeaking, squawking, ambulances, buses, fire trucks, squad cars, mournful, piercing, sweaty summer nights along the shores of Oak Street. Horns heralding wrong left turns on the churning, relentless current of delivery trucks, buses and cars, motorcycles roaring in the ebb and flow, morning to night and back again. Ba-boom, 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 hip-hop, bebop, doo-wop, throbbing subwoofer, to wailing car alarms, jazz poetry, rushing, 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 rushing to coffee shops, nightclubs, hospitals, offices, reaching for that higher note. This one is, I call Civil Peace, Cold War. It's about, you know, sort of, I don't know if you've ever been in one of those relationships where it's at the end, but it's not quite ended. Lying, selfish son of a bitch. Frigid, spiteful cow. Plates, insults, venomous lists of character defects and past transgressions blacken the air like clouds of arrows over ancient Troy. Better, I think, heroic even, in a way, if martyrdom is ever heroic. Battle lines drawn, camps clearly defined, no room for diplomacy. Each volley digging into fleshy targets, bringing a quick, decisive end. Both claiming victory, both defeated. Yes, definitely better than this peaceable détente. Continuous push-pull tension between knowing love is left without us and the desire to love still coming to visit from time to time. Blurring resolve and holding us in this not too bad, could be worse, treadmill state between going and staying. Awaken from heat dreams, to be reminded by your snoring in the next room that we don't do that anymore, do we? Contented with comfort of old shoes, though feet are wet and cold, living as friends under the same roof where lovers once dwelled, still huddled together, but careful not to touch too personally. The fields of Troy are quiet. This one's a little bit more upbeat. And this is dedicated to my darling wife. I call it the long and the short of it.
Okay.
We couldn't have been more different and still remain members of the same species. Even setting aside the obvious for a moment, she being a woman and me a man. She was a bleeding heart commie from redneck Manitoba. I was a redneck from the birthplace of socialized medicine and state-run auto insurance. She had raised a child as a single mom. I had been married for 25 years while my son was growing up. She rented in co-op housing on the east side. I owned a 5-bedroom home in Point Grey. She was Aboriginal. I was so white that my tan was just a different shade of pink. I was into Miles Davis and just starting to feel comfortable with Jesus Christ. She was into Om Namah Shivaya and miles ahead of me down the road with Eastern spirituality and meditation. I was 6'4". She was 4'14". I've always been a sucker for a beautiful woman, and she is indisputably that. I was invited to the Premier's house for his victory party. She protested on the lawn of his house. By every measure, physiologically, morphologically, psychologically, philosophically, sociologically, economically, ecumenically, anthropologically, we should never have been able to meet. So what was it about her that made me want to be with her, and only her, since that New Year's Eve? Very little editing to it. It's also written in iambic pentameter rhyming couplets. So I know what you're thinking now. Holy Chaucer. It was written at a time when I was struggling with a particularly persistent personal demon. It's called The Fellow Traveler. Along this ever tedious path we plod, passing strangers with only the barest nod, until in some street or field or quagmire hole, by Providence a stranger reaches out, touching our soul, and the loose fit bonds of brotherhood of the road are forged, lifting the spirit and the load. We each got to this place by our own ragged route, both battered and baffled with stones in our boots. We saw our own wounds in the other's eyes. We knew without words why the other cries like the rain in winter, unending and gray. Like the deer hides from the hunter stalking his prey, easy pickings as we wandered afraid and alone, until we locked elbows together and turned on the foe. Now our tracks wind together from where we met. The slope still relentlessly inclines, but yet seems less steep. All the rocks and the snakes, and the trips and the strip, and the trips and the slips the dark fear creates, we both know well, but now fear less, by marching together from that loneliness. Our duet of laughter booms off sheer canyon walls. Our duet of tears burbles softly over gentler falls, and into that river where past loves swirl long spent, along with youthful joys, sorrows, and bewilderment. The dawn can be seen only to the next bend in the road, but all that's enough, my friend, for around the next turn, or the next, or the one after, this path may fork, and we may each take the other. And though our tracks may sweetly depart, each trail ahead grows a little less dark. The pack grows less burdensome, the slope less steep, with you, fellow traveler, to comfort my sleep.